So suck my dick. I'm going to go up there and give you 150%, but I'm going to go up there and try new shit. Last night I was talking about that we've all as men at one time or another Me Too'd somebody. That's how you learn not to be a Me Too'er, is by Me Too'ing somebody one time, and then you go, that wasn't right, and then I'll never Me Too again. For me,
That's a weird adjective.
Oh, and I started out with it. I opened up with it to really put myself in the fucking hole of debt. I might as well go out there with a
Is that an adverb? What is that?
Me Too'ing?
Is it a verb? Yeah. If you Me Too somebody?
It has to be an adverb, yeah. It's like a...
The only way you learn how to the only way you learn how to not be a Me Too'er is by Me Too'ing. You shoplifted candy when you were a kid, right?
Yes.
And your mother told you smacking, she goes, that's not right. Same thing with Me Too'ing. This L.A. is a fucking... Me Too was invented here. They fucked Marilyn Monroe to death. They fucked her to death. Her vaginal thing looked like fucking that fucking embassy in Tehran, whatever they bombed.
What was that famous Fatty Arbuckle case where there was a...
It's just disgusting people out here.
Yeah.
This is, we're between the Bikram documentary, did you see that one?
I didn't see that,
That filthy fucking animal getting women to suck that fucking 90-degree weather, 6 yoga session dick. That's just cruelty to animals. You could put you in jail for just sucking that dick. Harvey, all that shit happens here. But as us, as men, we've all Me Too'd somebody when you were a kid by mistake. And for me, I was in love with this lady named Faye. She was 37, had big juicy tits. She'd wear hot pants. I was about 14. I had never even seen a vagina, no titties, nothing. And we used to play basketball, and our 2 dogs were blind. She had French poodles, and she had flip-flops, and she'd cross the street, and she was so hot. She was 38, and she had a husband that was like 60. He would just barely be alive, like that dude from Texas that was fucking
J. Howard Marshall.
And he would watch her because he knew he was savage, so we were going to take her down. She had 2 daughters, and the daughters were badass. But one of my Goombas dated one of the daughters. I never told him I was in love. Every time I played basketball, Faye would come out and the game would just stop. And she'd turn for us, and the sun would shine through her halter. Remember halter tops in the 70s? And she had real yummy titties with the nipples sticking up. And it drove me crazy. I was 13, 14. I lived through that. I'd see her in the winter with pants on. She looked delicious. And finally, summer of fucking 79, I'm getting all fucked up with some friends of mine, and we're drinking fucking nips. We snorted some angel dust, and we're listening to Led Zeppelin 2. If you're going to fuck anybody, Led Zeppelin 2 is the album to get you. It starts off with a whole lot of love. That just gets your hips moving, and then it goes into the Lemon song. And he's talking about squeeze me, baby, till the juice runs down my leg. I'm like, that's it. The juice is running down my leg tonight. My mother was a flower chick. She had flowers everywhere. I put on like a shirt. I swear to God, it had to be about 10 because she would walk the dog at night, but the husband was 60.
How old were you at the time?
15. The dog would sleep. The husband would pass out by 8. So she would take the dogs out for the 10 o'clock. She would put them down, and, they were kind of blind French poodles, and she would still wear the fucking tighty whities, the Dixie
pants,
Dixie Dukes, Daisy
Dukes.
Shorts. This is in the 70s before Daisy even was invented. She already had the Daisy on with the shirt, and I remember being on that angel dust hiding in the weeds like fucking, and with the flowers. I had flowers for her. I was going to bring her flowers. But my plan was to attack her, like just jump her in the thing, throw her down, and give her the flowers. This is how crazy I was.
You were going to attack her?
Like I couldn't take it no more. Like I wanted to marry her. Like that's how fucked up I was.
And you were on angel dust.
And I was on angel dust. It was whatever, THC crystal, call it what you want. It's animal tranquilizer, no matter how you look at it. And I remember that I ran up on her, and she turned, and she goes, Coco, what's going on? I go, and I just stopped, and I go, Faye, I'm in love with you. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, Faye, I've been in love with you for 2 years. I want to run off with you. Fuck my mother. I'm like, let's get a job. Let's leave.
Wow.
And she's looking at me like I was retarded. First of all, she's looking at me like this kid is fucking snapped. And she goes, you've been drinking. I'm like, I still love you. Take the flowers. And she goes, I'll tell you what, if I divorce my husband, I'll consider it. And I was like, okay, I can live with that. Can I give you a kiss? And I kissed her on the cheek, and I could feel the heat. going up my head. And finally, as I went to turn away, I looked at her legs. She had the juiciest legs in the world. I go, can I touch your thigh? And she goes, go ahead, Joe Rogan. I touched like her kneecap. And my dick just exploded with sperm. I ran away like Steven Seagal. You ever see Steven Seagal run? He runs like a fucking retard with that little limp. You ever see Steven Seagal run? Let me tell you something. The one cop I faced on Facebook and started torturing him.
Oh, what is he? Some dumb dude try to interrogate you?
He lives in Telluride, and he was involved in the John Benet Ramsey case. So when I mentioned his name on a podcast one time, people started sending me messages. They go, we go to school with his kid. His kid's a fucking moron, right? So, they're like his kid became a criminal, but the dad has gotten him out of trouble all his life. The kid's a fucking criminal. So they told the same people from Facebook hit me one day. They go, your buddy the cop retired. So I sent them an email, hey, on Facebook, hey, listen, congratulations on your retirement. Check out Joey Diaz on YouTube, cocksucker. And I know he read it, but he didn't fucking reply. You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious.
I put him, dog, listen to what I did to that dude. There was two of them, all right? There was a big white dude that, the white dude, this is the fucking crazy thing. I was not wanted, but I was questioned on a credit card situation in August of '85. Somebody had destroyed that mall with a credit card, and somebody said I fit the description. So these two cops with uniforms kept asking me questions. I worked at Foot Locker, and they keep showing up every day. Can we talk to you? Yeah, the jewelry store said it's you. Listen, pretty soon, they didn't have cameras then, Joe. So they kept saying, pretty soon we're going to start getting a receipt, and you're going to have to go in for whatever. And they would come in every day and shake me down. And I would go, guys, if I was a fucking credit card thief, would I be working at Foot Locker? So I was just buying time. I knew they were going to catch me eventually. That one cop even came to my house on a Sunday night, knocked on my door, and said, we're getting the jean sizes tomorrow. You might as well turn yourself in. I'm like, dog, you got a warrant, get the fuck off my doorstep. That morning, I went to San Francisco. A year later, I get arrested for kidnapping. He gets promoted to detective. He doesn't remember me from the credit card thing. The whole time I'm sitting there going, when is this fucking cop gonna remember me from the credit card thing? So you gotta remember, I turned myself in. When I turned myself in, dog, and I pressed that buzzer and they opened that door, all the cops drew their guns on me and said, get on the floor, because I was wanted for kidnapping too. They didn't know what I was packing, what type of person I was, so they handcuffed me, put me in a room that was white, made me wait for a half hour. Then they came in and played their technique, which I've been doing to people all my fucking life. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that would break into Joe Rogan's house and steal one shoe. You ever do that to somebody? You take an ounce of coke and you steal one shoe.
It's horrible.
And that's horrible. And then you steal that one favorite pair of shoe. You take one shoe and you throw it away. That destroys people psychologically. For years, they'll keep looking for that one shoe. What happened? And then every time you see them, you ever find that shoe? No, I fucking searched everywhere.
It's weird as fuck.
Oh, yeah, I'm the fucking dirtiest bastard. I know how to fucking flip-flop you.
So these guys get you in an interrogation
They get me into
room.
the interview room, and they ask me what's going on, and I'm talking to them. I go, I don't know what happened. The guy showed up. The guy pulled the gun. Next thing you know, I was home. And they're like, so what happened to the guy with the machine gun? I don't know. Did you know him? I don't know. So how did you get there? I had a bike. But you just said you drove. Yeah, I drove to get the bike. I was just fucking with them because I wanted to get out because Don Johnson was marrying Sheila Easton on Miami Vice that night. I had to be home by 9. That's all I cared about was this wedding. So I'm fucking with the cops. I'm like, I'm just going to go in there and talk to them, tell them the truth. That, I went over there. They were selling drugs, and I left. I had nothing to do. What kidnapping? What are you talking about? So we went back and forth for like 6 hours. And I still remember them sitting there like with their hands down and me talking about like, my uncle came from Cuba in 1952 and he worked for fucking this guy. And they're like, what's this got to do with what we're talking about? Dog, I tormented them. And then I agreed to give the guy information. And I would just give him like red bands. driver's plate.
Hey, that's
Well,
I
this
swear
is
to God.
pre-internet.
I would give him Jamie's license plate.
Okay.
Jamie's not a drug dealer, but I would tell him that Jamie was running kilos internationally from Europe. They would go through Jamie's life.
Imagine if Jamie was doing that.
And then they wouldn't find nothing. So they would figure out the fucking Jamie. I was playing them. I was just giving them fake license plates.
How long did you do this for?
6 months. They thought they would leave. This guy, I'm telling you, he runs big coke from Colombia. He knows the Ochoa brothers. No, yeah.
So you were just making up this crazy narrative and feeding it to these yokels.
I was tormenting these 2 cops. But the one cop wasn't going for it. He didn't like me personally. And,
of course.
and I let him know that I didn't like him personally.
It's a movie.
It was I let him know that I hated him more than when he hated fucking me. That's what I did. I let him know that I hate him more. And every time we went to court, he would sit there across from me. But I had a good attorney, and it was burning him up because he wanted me for kidnapping. But I'm like, nah, dog, you didn't find no fingerprints on nothing. Sorry, Charlie, not this time. So he was chomping at the thing. He went to all the hearings and said that, and they're like, we don't see nothing else on the record. So if there's nothing else on the record, this is you against him. No, doesn't work that way. He kept saying I was violent. I was going to kill the community. He was one of those white evangelist type guys. He even was so mad at me that he joined forces with my ex-wife in court afterward for like child hearings and shit like that. That's how crazy it got.
Oh my God.
He was there when I went off one day, Cuban style. And that's the last time I saw him.
Cuban style.
Oh, one day.
Ricardo.
The last time I went to court, remember, the last time I went to court with my wife, it was the same judge that sentenced me.
Oh no.
Only he was in civil court now. But here's the beauty. I kept writing him letters every month because that's the type of motherfucker I am.
You write him letters?
From the minute I got sentenced to jail.
What do the letters say?
How you doing, Judge Bellapani? My name is Joey Diaz. Thank you for your sentence. I'm starting to learn what it's all about to be a man. For the last 28 years, I've been running amok. Every month on the 1st, he got a letter from me. When I got out of jail, I doubled up. I got a job as a car salesman. I really enjoy it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Did he ever write you back?
Never.
Wow.
Never. But I wrote him letters. I got out of jail February of 89. I wrote him letters. I went in front of him in May of 95. And he was a civil judge, and I was still writing him letters. I told him I was trying comedy. I was getting divorced. My wife was breaking my balls. We end up in court in front of him. The fucking boyfriend's got a stake over his eye because I smacked him because he called me a spick. So I smacked him in the face at Safeway. So they're trying to get me for assault. Oh, yeah. Tremendous afternoon.
And what does the judge say?
And the judge goes, number one, you got to throw your case out because it's a city limits of Boulder. You can't use a racial slur. If you use a racial slur in the city limits of Boulder,
Someone can just beat your ass?
you get it's called the J.J. Flanagan law.
Oh.
And number two, then he attacked my wife. He was like, listen, you fucking come back in here again with this shit, it's contempt of court. And then,
So all those years of writing paid off?
all those years. So my wife got mad, the ex got mad, and on the walk out of there was when I did something that to this day I regret. It was that bad, like how bad I went off. But it was 4 years of getting tortured. Think of you torturing me for 4 years. I'm financially done. I'm financially ruined. I'm trying to feature, and I'm getting heat because I'm dirty.
Oh, I remember those days.
You know what I'm saying? Like everything, like I was.
That's the hard road, right?
So I was featuring in dirty bars, but they would make me MC at the clubs. And they made me work clean and read the announcements and shit.
And some comics.
You know, and they would just
Some comics didn't want you on the show.
So a lot of comics didn't want me on the show, you know. I wasn't that, no, I wasn't throwing heat then, no. I just was doing well. I was holding my
But Joey,
own.
even when I met you in the beginning, you were